we're getting ready to live stream, and I think we're going live. Hi, welcome, 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 welcome. I'm Paul Sugarman, founder of the Instant Shakespeare Company, and I'm here to celebrate the first folio of Shakespeare, or as it was more properly titled, Mr. William Shakespeare's Comedies, Histories, and Tragedies, which was the first collection of Shakespeare's plays that was put together in 1623, 7 years after his death, by members of his acting company, specifically two members, Hemming and Condell. And they included 36 plays. Now, of these 36 plays, 18 had never been previously published. So that if the first folio had not happened, I mean, we would have lost 18 of these masterpieces, and we wouldn't have, Shakespeare would nowhere near have the reputation that he has today, because a lot of his best plays, a lot of really great plays are there, including The Tempest, Twelfth Night, As You Like It, and Julius Caesar, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and The Tempest, and so many. And so that's why it's really important. And I feel very proud that when I worked at Applause Books, we published a first folio that was a folio facsimile. And so anyways, okay, before I'm getting ahead of myself, I should talk a little bit about what the folio was. It was this collection of 36 plays put together. And what was really revolutionary was that publishing it in folio, which was the sort of larger format for really important books, was not something that was usually done with plays. This wasn't the first, though. The person who really got things started with folios for plays was Ben Jonson, who was Shakespeare's fellow playwright, friend, rival. In fact, one of the stories is that of how Shakespeare died was that he got sick after Ben Jonson had come by to sort of show his new folio, because Ben Jonson's folio was published in 1616, the year that Shakespeare died, and he went to Stratford and visited Shakespeare and went out drinking with him, apparently. So the story goes. I mean, we have no really sort of contemporary sort of references for these things. These are all of these sorts of stories about Shakespeare. Most of them come from people like 100 years later. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But the story was, but Jonson was going around and he'd collected his plays in folio. And so that really spurred Hemming and Condell, especially after Shakespeare died in 1616, that there were all of these plays that would be lost. And they would have been lost truly because we had the Puritans come in, and we lost a lot of theatrical history there from when they stopped it. But anyways, so the first folio was this collection of plays, and so they were plays put together by members of his acting company, and so they were from the true original copies, and from the Playhouse, the script, the official script that was the property of the company, which we've seen by looking at the plays in the folio that were in earlier quartos, that there were changes that were made. I mean, most famously with Hamlet, where we have the bad quarto, the good quarto, and then the folio. And so I just, why am I celebrating this in November? We're celebrating this because on November 8th, 1623, was the publication date of the first folio. And so that's why a couple of years ago, in 2023, we were celebrating the 400th birthday of it, or the 400th anniversary of its publication. And I still think it's worth celebrating the 402nd anniversary of its publication, because it really is such an extraordinary publishing event that we got like so much of Shakespeare's work that we would have lost without this. And so that's why I think it's important to celebrate the Shakespeare. I run a company. This is on our Instant Shakespeare Company YouTube channel, where we do Zoom readings of all of Shakespeare's plays. We do readings. We're in our 26th season. We're near the end of our 26th year of reading all of Shakespeare's plays, and we started in the year 2000 in the old Applause bookstore on West 71st Street, when we read the 36 plays in the first folio in 12 days, 3 plays a day. And so and in fact, when we were working on that, that was at about the time that we were about to do the second folio that I worked on, the one in modern type, which was put together by Neil Freeman, and which also so these are two iterations, facsimiles, reprints of this incredible volume that was published in 1623. I mean, I remember in our marketing materials for Applause, we were talking about like the 2 significant publishing events were the publishing of the King James Bible and the First Folio. And well, yes, the King James Bible definitely is great Bible, great event, great translation. But it's like, if it hadn't been published, it wouldn't be, we'd be missing half of the Bible, So in that way, I think just over that, the folio wins out as being a more significant publication, not saying than the Bible, but than the King James Bible, because, really, the stories we have, that's another thing to get into, is to talk about, when we talk about the Bible, that we talk like it's one book when it's like a whole bunch, and that it was really what was decided by the Council of Nicaea. So anyways, but today we're talking about the folio, and we've started with the Instant Shakespeare Company from the first year when we were doing it. We were working from folio scripts, and specifically from a lot of the readings we did with proofs from the folio pages that we put together for this modern type edition of the folio. But in any event, we still do it because there's lots of interesting things in the folio as well as the fact that it was just published and we got all of these plays, but also we have had, when we go back to the folio, we get rid of 4 centuries of editorial interventions. I mean, lots of very well-intentioned people over the years, Alexander Pope, many others, were sort of like, well, Shakespeare's all very good, but we just fix it up, and to get things in usage, sort of standard usage. And what you lose is, some of the things that you have in the folio are the sort of capitalization, the spelling, and the punctuation, which are different from the modern ones. Sometimes this can be very confusing, but it can also be really useful, especially the punctuation and capitalization. Because I think one of the things that we don't quite get is how much, in Shakespeare's time, it was a much more oral society, that people talked and not a lot of people read, and people listened, and they were used to listening. And so that's why I think it's so wonderful to get practice speaking and listening to Shakespeare, because it really opens up your mind. And but in the folio, there are many clues as to how to speak the lines, because of this capitalization, showing which words to emphasize, and punctuation, where to like take a significant pause. Because there's a lot to go into on all of these things. And so I just wanted to sort of say why we do that, and why really the folio was essential to the Instant Shakespeare Company in the idea that we just read from the text because they're clues from the folio. There are other people who've done this. Patrick Tucker with the original Shakespeare Company, who was also, along with Neil Freeman, they were real great champions of the first folio, and its practicality for actors. And because it's sort of like taking it, both Neil Freeman and Patrick Tucker have gotten sort of grief from both theater people and academics, because it's like, for theater people, you're spending too much attention to this old text, and for academics it's like you're trying to make this old text be unperformed, and it's like, well, that's the whole point of what the text was for and why it was set down that way. So anyways, if you are interested in learning more about the first folio, send me an email at instantshakespeare@gmail.com, because I'm planning shortly to start a class using the folio for Shakespearean acting, and also I will probably, because I could just go on for several hours here about the first folio, I will also planning to do a little bit of seminars on this. So if you have any questions about the first folio, things we'd like to cover, I would just like to say, please let me know with instantshakespeare@gmail.com. Our motto at the Instant Shakespeare Company is Shakespeare for everyone, is that Shakespeare is for everyone. And that I think a lot of times we get this idea that it's some sort of highbrow culture stuff, but at his time, he was the popular entertainment, and he is still popular entertainment because these works still work. So I encourage you to, if you want to participate in, we do both Zoom, and we have our Instant Shakespeare Company YouTube library. We have quite a number of versions of all of the plays, and we do readings on Zoom and also in person at various branches of the New York Public Library. This month we're going to be reading this Saturday King Lear up at the Bloomingdale Library at 150 West 100th Street. And then the next Saturday will be Pericles at the 53rd Street Library, 18 West 53rd Street. And then also, because we do things with various of the libraries, and at the on the 21st, Johnny Culver is going to do a presentation of The Country Girl at the Riverside Library, which is with David Garrick play, David Garrick was a great champion of Shakespeare. There's a lot of really great Shakespeare history, but the really great thing about the folio is that it can still help us today. They're great little tricks that you can get from it, and it really, I found it really gets you closer to Shakespeare's intent. So anyways, as I say, email me if you're interested. Our revels now are ended, and these our actors, as I foretold you, are all spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherits shall dissolve, and like an insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a rack behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. So thank you, and there's a lot more to talk about with the first folio, but we'll do that some other time. So thank you, and Shakespeare for everyone. And now I just have to Let's see. We also, I just have to also talk about that we do have some Zoom readings coming up as well on the 16th, Sunday the 16th. We're reading Troilus and Cressida, and on the 29th, The Winter's Tale. So if you'd like to participate,